In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about your final cook. Everything you've learned so far in the course is leading up towards this final project, your major project. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about what the project theme is, what you're being asked to do, some of the ways you might go about it, and then finally, how you should go about presenting your work for final submission. You may have already read the design brief, but let's look at it together and work out what it is that you're being asked to do. Culture plays a significant role in shaping our diets. Around the world, a range of factors can influence the food that we eat. In the UK, we are lucky to live in a diverse society that allows us to sample cuisine from around the world. A local hotel is hosting an international week. As a trainee chef, you've been invited to take part and have been tasked with preparing a three-course meal with cultural cuisine at its heart. This design brief is giving us a lot of information, but it's information that is going to help us with a starting point for planning our final three-course meal. Obviously, culture and international cuisine is the main theme for this, so we're going to be looking at foods from around the world. It might be that you start infusing flavours from different cultures as you start to experiment and play with different dishes. So international cuisine is a really important key point from this design brief. Another important key point is the scene in which you are being asked to prepare this meal. It's a local hotel. This gives us some kind of idea as to what the types of food should be that you're serving. This is not going to be a takeaway service. And then finally, you've been asked to develop a three-course meal. Traditionally, this would be a starter, main and dessert. So this is something also very important to think about in your planning. What I don't want you to do just yet is try and make final decisions or plans on what it is you want to cook. We're going to be doing lots of research and background preparation before you make these important decisions. You are going to be presenting your final cook report or your major project as a formal document. This is going to be a piece of work that you keep revisiting and adding to over the next few terms, so I would strongly recommend that you don't handwrite, as you might need to make corrections. A typed document is going to make it a lot easier for you in the long run and look more professional. You should use a formal font size, no smaller than 12 and no bigger than 16. And by formal I mean nothing too decorative that will make it difficult for somebody to read. As well as the main body of your report, you're going to also need to include an appendix. If you haven't heard of this before, don't worry, I'm going to explain in a minute. Effectively, an appendix is where you would include additional evidence. So let's look at how you could set out your report. First of all, I would suggest using a program that you're already familiar with using. It needs to be one that can include graphics and images as well as typed written work. It might be that you can use the same program that you have been using for your photo gallery in order to complete your major project. Start off with a front cover, clearly labelling this as your major project. You should also include your name and the name of the qualification that you're doing. You could include an image, or you could leave this blank until you've actually completed your final cook and use that as an opportunity to showcase a picture of your final cook. You then need to start your main body of your major project with an introduction. Start by typing out or copying and pasting the design brief. This will act as a reminder for you as to what it is you're actually working towards as an end product. You could then go on to summarise what you're being asked to do in your own words, and perhaps include some initial thoughts or feelings on this topic. You're then going to begin working through the tasks in your guidebook, completing research on international cuisine, as well as gaining an insight and developing more practical skills. As you write, you need to show evidence of where you're finding your information from. Research skills are something that's really important to develop. Now, it might be that you collect lots of information, perhaps from the internet or from books or from just doing visits to supermarkets or restaurants. Now, all this information shouldn't appear in the main section of your major project. It needs to be included in your appendix. You then reference your appendix pages. So the appendix comes after the main body of your report. It should be at the back as separate pages labelled as appendix. Each piece of evidence should be labelled accordingly for ease of reference. For example, Appendix A, Appendix B. So how do we actually go about using an appendix effectively in a report? Your main body of report should be a summary of your findings. It can include your opinion, but it needs to be backed up with evidence and justifications. Let's look at what I've written. The world is a big place, and the different cultures, traditions, climate, religion and wealth within different areas are just some of the factors that can have an impact on the types of foods prepared in different countries or even regions. Appendix A shows a range of dishes commonly associated with different countries and the diverse range of dishes that can be found in different regions of just one country. When we go to Appendix A, we can clearly see how I've justified my comments. This is evidence backing up what I'm saying, and it's been accredited to the source I found it as well. If I go on, in my local area, it's clear that food from around the world is very sought after. There must be a good market for international cuisine, as the number of restaurants and takeaways on my local high street serving international food outnumbers those serving traditionally British food. See Appendix B. Appendix B shows a Google Maps screenshot with all of the local takeaways and restaurants highlighted. I've also included my summary statement on my research, so it might be that you have notes that you've written on your appendix. These don't have to be written as formally as the main body of your report. Hopefully this has given you a better idea as to how you should lay out your major project and how you might start going about collating your research. If you're concerned at all that you're not laying out your project correctly or you're not quite sure how to use an appendix, please don't worry, because you'll have the opportunity to revisit once you've had feedback from your tutor.